Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to How to Heal Arena. This is episode 4, and today we're going to be talking about a concept called momentum. As you may be able to tell, we've gone over some key concepts, and there's always a little bit of overlap between them, and that is going to be especially true of this concept. I think today we're going to be able to dive into a little bit deeper kinds of analysis of your games, and hopefully by the end of the video, you've learned something that's going to help you win some games. And real quickly, before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to all the people who have come into my live stream and been like, hey man, like I've watched your videos and they've helped me out a ton. That means so much. Thank you for all the support, all the comments. If you have any more feedback, anything I can do better, please feel free to let me know. And if you want to see more content like this, please hit the video with a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so in episode 1, we went over positioning. Episode 2, we went over UI and add-ons. Episode 3 was trading cooldowns, right? So momentum can be lost or gained through a variety of different factors, okay? But essentially, the idea of momentum is capitalizing when it's time to capitalize and win the game, and retreating or playing a little bit smarter, playing for the long game when you need to. So when you're playing different healers, this manifests itself in different ways. But my goal with this video is to kind of get the general concept through your head so that when you're playing your games, this may occur to you and you can be like, oh, in that situation, maybe I should have pushed a little bit further, or maybe in this situation, I shouldn't have pushed in at all, or maybe I could have like retreated or done something defensively in order to make the game last a little bit longer to give my team an opportunity to win the game. So I have narrowed down 5 key factors for momentum in Arena. Number 1, the most obvious, is major cooldowns. If your team has all of your major cooldowns, let's say you're playing Ret Warrior and you all have Trinket, your Ret has Bubble, your Warrior has Die by the Sword or some kind of defensive cooldown, you have your Trinket available, and you're fighting a Warlock, and the Warlock has no wall and no Trinket, it's a pretty good idea for you guys to play aggressively, both with your positioning, your cooldown trading, and everything, and try to push and win the game. Number 2 is positioning. If you're playing a matchup, let's say if you're playing Shadow Priest Warlock or some kind of double caster comp, and you're healing that team as a Mistweaver, and the other team starts to kind of rot, like they all hit like 60% health, and they end up running behind the pillar, that positioning, if say I'm the Mistweaver, I can play in the middle of the map, throw out a Ring of Peace on that pillar, get them all in one spot, roll in, land the leg sweep, and gain a lot of momentum for my team just because of the positioning of the enemy team. Number 3 is dampening. There are some matchups where if you are playing a composition that benefits more from dampening than another composition in general, once that dampening reaches kind of a critical mass, you can overwhelm the enemy team with pressure just because of dampening. Which is especially true in things like solo shuffle, where, if you have a Mortal Strike on your team, dampening is going to favor you more than it's going to favor the other team. Number 4 is composition matchup. If you're playing Ret Warrior into Rogue Warlock, right, you want to try to be the aggressor as the Ret Warrior. The Rogue is going to try to be peeling you off of his Warlock, trying to get pressure in different ways. The Warlock is going to be trying to kite away and kind of drag the game out. As the Ret Warrior, as much as you can capitalize on your momentum and maintain that momentum, you're going to be winning the game. And number 5 is your class. A great healer to talk about in terms of momentum is Disc Priest. Disc Priest has one, like maybe you could say Life Swap for sure is a way to quickly catch up in a dire situation. And then Ultimate Penitence is kind of the only way. If your whole team is dying, Ultimate Penitence is one of the only ways that you can truly fully recover your entire team, and even then sometimes you can't. So as a Disc Priest, maintaining momentum throughout the arena is a core part of the game. The fact that you are doing damage while healing means that if you are ahead and you're doing damage, the other team is falling behind and your team is staying safe. So Disc Priest is one of those healers that relies heavily on momentum, and if you fall too far behind, you don't really have a lot of ways to catch up outside of a couple major cooldowns that even then sometimes cannot catch you up fully. One important thing to keep in mind is that capitalizing on momentum can often require teamwork. Yes, you can on your own push in and land a triple ROP into a triple leg sweep. Yes, you can Ultimate Penitence and recover your team, but to truly capitalize on momentum, some of the best AWC teams, some of the best teams that I've played against and with are the teams that understand when it's time to win and when it's not time to win. This is something that comes with a lot of experience and a lot of practice, and it's something that as you get better at the game, you're going to get a better feeling of when it's time to push in and when it's not. And momentum really is a feeling. There are like factors that are involved, but there's no way that your brain can just run through a million different factors and be like, oh my God, like this is the perfect, combination. Often you go look back and you're like, oh, okay, well, this happened and this happened and this happened. So like, it was good that we did this, right? But it can just be a couple clues. You have like a couple cooldowns are down. You see the positioning kind of being like a little bit more afraid from the enemy team. And you kind of get this feeling that like now's the time to win the game. And that feeling comes again from practice and experience. So at the end of the day, in order to understand all of the concepts that I'm going to talk about in all of these videos, practice, go back and record your games, go back and watch them, look for mistakes, look for things you could have done better, and then go practice some more with that knowledge. All right, you guys, so for game number 1, I picked a game of Mistweaver, Fury Warrior, Ret Paladin versus Holy Paladin, BM Hunter, Asa Rogue. So right off the bat, if you understand the composition matchup, going back to those points I mentioned earlier, as the Ret Warrior, we are going to, in general, have more pressure than they will, right? The BM Hunter and the Asa Rogue are both pretty vulnerable to us, and we have things like Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sanctuary, which removes stuns, silences, and fears from me. We have a lot of outs for CC, and we have a ton of damage. We also have stuns every 30 seconds. So I'm going to be looking for opportunities to contribute to our team's offensive attacks while also trying to keep them offensive by using my defensive cooldowns. And as a Mistweaver, and this is something that's really fun, when you have a healer that has offensive capabilities, that has damage, sometimes you can help your team out with utility. Sometimes you can just help your team out by keeping them alive, as like a restoration druid. A lot of the time, the best thing you can do to keep your team offensive is just to keep them at full health, basically. But as Mistweaver, one of the things that separates it is that you have this new ability called Rushing Wind Kick, this thing here, combined with Sphere of Despair. Sphere of Despair makes them take 10% more damage from all things, and Rushing Wind Kick does a ton of damage. It can hit for like 1.6 million or something like that. Plus, whenever you do any attack to somebody, they take 5% more physical damage. So with a composition like Ret Warrior, whoever my offensive abilities are being targeted towards is going to be somebody who is in a lot of danger of dying, and it's important for me to use those on the right people at the right times. So right away in the opener, the Rogue opens up. He's already used Evasion. That's one of his major defensive cooldowns. He used it kind of aggressively. He's getting growths on both my teammates. They're trying to round us both down. The Hunter throws the Intimidation on me, throws the trap. We port the trap, and just getting our team stabilized, that's a big plus for us. We get Kidney Shot here. Our Retribution Paladin uses Blessing of Sanctuary. You can see that just went on cooldown right there. Gets me out of the stun. I have Chi G up. I'm gonna, Rushing Wind Kick, get my debuffs up. Got the Sphere of Despair out onto this Rogue. The Hunter is probably gonna be the main target, but I usually, especially when like Assassination Rogues or any kind of melee uses a defensive cooldown early on, it's a good idea, as that Mistweaver to throw out that Sphere of Despair. They're gonna be taking cleave damage. They may have to panic and use more cooldowns. They're gonna be forcing their healer to run out into bad spots and get crowd controlled. Just something to take into your games and something to consider. So as you can see here, rewinding a little bit, we land the Sphere of Despair. The Rushing Wind Kick hits him for, like 700k or something like that. He gets low down to 40%. The Paladin's healing him back down to 50%, and now he has to use that Cloak of Shadows. So now this Assassination Rogue has no Cloak of Shadows, no evasion. All he has is Trinket, and the Paladin has his cooldowns to help him out. But this Rogue is definitely in danger. They swap some damage over to me. I go ahead and trade out the Fortifying Brew. In this matchup, this Rushing Wind Kick, whenever it hits all these pets, is going to pretty much top my entire team, especially when they have Call of the Wild up. This is, a lot of people call it the zoo. It's a bunch of pets, but as a Mistweaver, I can heal my whole team a lot more whenever I'm kicking, a bunch of pets. So at this point, I'm trying to keep my team offensive. I'm probably just going to trade out the Revival here. Yep, trade out the Revival. We now just got Sack onto the Rogue. This Rogue is in a huge amount of danger, and I just want to keep my team offensive. So you can see here that the Hunter and the Rogue are pushed up on us, and this is going back to a note on positioning. They're pushed up on us. The Pally's pushed up on us. So I'm going to roll backwards, encourage them to kind of come towards me. I'm still in range to heal my team. I'm not outranging my teammates, but I'm just dragging that Hunter and that Rogue a little bit more towards us, and that's going to benefit my team a lot. This is a note with, whenever you're healing double melee, your positioning is going to determine a lot. If the enemy team is coming in to crowd control you, that is an opportunity for you to determine where the enemy team is playing, right? If they're coming into CCU and you're dragging them back, your melee are going to be able to swap to any of the three of them, right? If their whole team has to push in, push forward, the enemy healer is going to be more vulnerable to crowd control. The DPS are going to be, if one of them is a better target to hit at a certain point, it's going to be beneficial for them to just swap, excessively, right? So in this positioning, I pull them back, and then I roll back forward. So now I'm not on top of the hunter or the rogue, and the enemy paladin. Look, all three of the enemy team are right on top of my ret and my warrior. They can hit whoever they want. They can do whatever they want. I just got to keep them offensive, right? So real quickly, I'm just going to go back and show this again at normal speed. We trade out the revival. We top our team. We roll backwards. The whole enemy team pushes in. We roll forwards here. Landed a half sweep on the hunter there. Roll forwards here. And now, it's death mark on my warrior. I need to keep him safe. The blind comes out on me. My team's low. I'm not going to sit that. Trinket it out. Throw out a kick. Now I'm in a hammer of justice. I don't have an out for it. I pour it away because I'm thinking the hunter might throw a trap onto me. The pally might be playing blinding light, trying to land a half thing. I use my first port. I see the hunter is right on top of me, so I know he's going to throw another trap, and he actually does. He throws the trap, and we successfully port the trap. And right here, there's an overlap of cooldowns. My ret has already used Blessing of Sacrifice onto my warrior. My warrior hits 25% health, uses Enrage Regeneration, and I just go ahead and trade that cocoon out anyways. Probably didn't need to, but at this point, I'm really just focused on the fact that, we have gotten a lot of cooldowns. The rogue doesn't really have too much, and we can win the game pretty soon as long as, we keep our team safe. So again, both teams are totally stacked up. All three of them are on top of us. All three of us are on top of them. And that's beneficial for us because we can, use our cooldowns, trade our CDs, and get pressure. So the bop has been used on the rogue. The Blessing of Sacrifice has been used on the rogue. I get kidney shot. My ret sanks me out of it. And, again, just keeping our team stable, doing damage to whatever I can. They get the full trap on us, but, we have Enveloping Mist out on our ret. We're not looking too bad, not looking too much in danger at all. We juke out the kick, got that precog, casting, and look at this rogue. I mean, that's Lay on Hands just came out again there, and he's still in a bunch of danger, right? Like even the Lay on Hands, the rogue doesn't have cloak, doesn't have evasion. He got topped, yes, but he's gonna die just as quickly. We get the Sphere of Despair out on him. We land the Rushing Wind Kick. It hit him there for 998,000. We get the half leg sweep into the Touch of Death, and we win the game, right? So, this game was pretty fast-paced, but essentially, we understood that our team had the necessary support for us, and at the end of the game, we saw that it was time to win, get the Sphere of Despair out, land that kick, get the half leg sweep to stop him from going anywhere, get that Touch of Death, and win the game when it's time for us to win the game. All right, and so for game number 2, we've got Affliction Lock, Feral Druid, and Mistweaver Monk against Holy Paladin, double BM Hunter. It's been an absolute pleasure playing World of Warcraft the past couple of weeks. I'm being a little bit sarcastic. There's a lot of BM Hunters. There's a ton of them. But in this lobby, you see double BM Hunter, and you might just be like, oh my god, it's over. There's no way we can deal with this, right? But we have a couple things going for us. First of all, we have a Feral Druid who is going to benefit from all the pets. Feral Druids, whenever they have Rip Out on a bunch of targets, they get a bunch of Ferocious Bite procs, so they're going to be doing more damage. And these BM Hunters don't have a melee that's going to be like stunning me and messing with me, right? They're just 2 hunters that are going to be trying to trap me, so it's going to be kind of a game of whack-a-mole for me. I'm a Mistweaver. They're going to be trying to trap me. It's my job to avoid those traps, try to keep my team offensive, and find those opportunities where the momentum is in our favor and help my team capitalize on that. So let's jump into the game and see what happens. So right off the bat, they open up on my Warlock. We get the Enveloping Mist rolling. There's the Intimidation. I don't see the trap come up on my Omnibar, so I don't actually use Portal on that Intimidation stun there. And my Feral gets scattered, we're just trying to keep him healthy. I walk out into the middle because I don't want these hunters to end up on top of me, trying to trap me and, making it easy for them. So I'm dragging them, going into the open, staying in my Warlock's line. This hunter disengages towards me, and I know he's going to throw the trap. So he throws the trap, we roll away. Avoiding that trap, we end up back on our Warlock's portal, keeping him healthy. Again, just trying to focus on keeping my Warlock healthy, avoid getting CC'd, nothing crazy so far, just, keeping everybody in good spirits, keeping everybody alive. We land a stun out onto one of the hunters, and right now we've gotten both of their trinkets, so it's looking good for us. We're getting pressure. I see the entire enemy team stacked up in the middle of the map. All of them are at about 60% HP. This is like pretty much the exact example I gave you of, landing that Ring of Peace and leg sweep, except they're not behind a pillar. They just got all stacked up in the middle of the map. 2 of them are not on stun DR, so I land the triple leg sweep. We get the Paladin's trinket with that, and we're getting some pressure. They trap my Feral defense. I think that was actually the old trap that he ran into. Now, me and my Warlock both get trapped. My Feral's hitting about 30% HP, and I don't want him to be afraid and be running away. So what I'm going to do here is trade out the Life Cocoon, dispel his Hammer of Justice, and tell him basically, get offensive, let's push. We have the pressure here. They're all low. The Paladin isn't topping them all in one global right now. So let's just get the Cocoon out. It's fine. Trade CDs. let's keep getting pressure and maintain this offensive, pressure that we have right now. So this hunter's pushed in pretty far. We stun him up. We get the Blessing of Protection. My Feral half clones it, which is pretty good. There's a scatter on me, maybe into the trap. No, he does not land the trap. Keeping our team alive, keeping them offensive. Just throwing out as much damage as we can. Got that Sphere of Despair up on this hunter right here, since my Warlock's doing a bunch of damage to him. Looks like they threw out a trap there and missed it. We threw out a Ring of Peace here to try to keep this hunter on the left here, this Mr. Pantaloons guy. I think it's Arena 1 here. Threw out the Ring of Peace to stop him from getting out of line of sight of my Warlock. You can see my Warlock's positioning here. He's trying to be in a place where he can attack them and they can't attack him, right? He can cast on this guy and then quickly line of sight if he needs to. So I threw out that Ring of Peace. I'll just rewind really quick. Throughout that Ring of Peace to try to keep, I tried to get both of them, but I got this guy out in the open. My Feral's on him, my Warlock can attack him, and now he's in a stun, which forces out that second Blessing of Protection. So you can see the enemy team rotting really hard. We roll out, we get the leg sweep onto the guy who's not on stun DR. You can see this hunter was on stun DR, this hunter wasn't. So get that leg sweep, get the dispel out onto our Feral on that Hammer of Justice. Again, just like pretty fast paced. As you can see, like the other team is dying pretty quickly. We get the bubble from the pally, the land hands, the turtle. Both these hunters are in trouble. We have a massive amount of pressure, and we just want to try to keep our team offensive. My Warlock trades out the wall. He has Dark Pact, he has Portal, but he wants to sit out there and cast. So good on him for using that wall to stay offensive. We juke out the kick. They do trap our Warlock defensively, so he didn't get a bunch of value from that, but that's okay. And again here, I wanted my Warlock to stay offensive. I was on the same page as him. Like, he just traded out wall. I was like, all right, dude, I'll cocoon you. Like, let's win the game. He portals back. My Feral gets Hammer of Justice. He trinkets it, and I dispel him at the same time. And right here, you can see the pally's at about 9% HP, and I'm in a great position to end the game. I land a 600k rushing wind kick, and we kill him, ending the game, capitalizing on the momentum that we had as a team. Okay, so for the last game of this video, I picked a matchup that's pretty straightforward when it comes to the idea of momentum. We're playing Ret Warrior Evoker into Sub-Rogue Affliction Lock Disc Priest. So our goal is going to be to overwhelm the Disc Priest and the Affliction Warlock with pressure, swap to the Rogue whenever we can, and me, as the Evoker, my job is to be as aggressive as possible to put as much pressure on the enemy team as I can and try to help us win the game while keeping my team alive. So in the opener here, I'm going to talk about Stasis, and this can be applicable to other specs. It's like cooldowns like Rapture, Tranquility, well, more like Tree Form for Druid. There's different cooldowns that you can use in this way, but in the opener here, this is just a quick tip for Evokers. I throw out Averted Embrace, get an Echo onto one of my DPS, I press Stasis, and so now I'm stasising Dream Breath, Echo, and a triple stack Spirit Bloom. So you can see this add-on here, this weak aura right here. These are the 3 abilities that I have stored in my stasis. And you're going to see how me getting those 3 abilities stored, not only does using those 3 abilities right now help us stay offensive, but there's a point where, the Rogue has already used Shadow Blades. The Warlock is going to use his Dark Glare and get a bunch of damage out in the opener for sure. He just got a Haunt off, as you can see here on my Omnibar. They're going to have a ton of pressure, but me using this stasis allows us to stay offensive. So I rescue my Red in. I use Time Dilation on him, which was probably a mistake looking back. Go back and watch your games. You'll see all kinds of mistakes for sure, just like me. But let's see here. So I get everybody topped off. We're still all like rotting down. I throw out 2 echoes onto my teammates, and I've already used Averted Embrace. So I have this Call of Ysera buff here. So both of these echoes are going to echo my Dream Breath. I get double Dream Breath up on both my Ret and my Warrior, and then shoot out the big Spirit Bloom and everything with the Echo and all that stuff that I had stored. So keeping my team as aggressive as possible. And you can see even after all that, we're still taking a ton of damage. So imagine if I hadn't done that. But essentially you can see here, I'm positioned super aggressively. We got a bunch of pressure on the Warlock in the beginning. We got both DPS trinkets. We get Fear out onto both of them. The Rogue barely survives this through the pain suppression. But again, we're going to be positioned on top of our team. We go ahead and trade out the Emerald Communion here just to stay aggressive. Maybe questionable use of that cooldown, but we still have, my Ret still has Bubble. I still have Trinket for myself. My Warrior has Trinket. We have Blessing of Protection. We have a lot of cooldowns, and this is an example of a time where your cooldowns are going to be used both defensively and aggressively in order to maintain momentum. You're going to have to use your cooldowns to kill, right? It's not like you're just trading this cooldown to stay alive because you have to. You're using this cooldown to allow your team to push in and be aggressive. And that's what I did with this Emerald Communion here, keeping my team aggressive. So he lands the Furio out onto both of us. My warrior's taking a ton of damage. Shadowy duels him low. This is a perfect time to trade a cooldown like Rewind. There's only a few cooldowns that can be used on somebody who's in Shadowy Duel. On Evoker, it's Rewind. You want to pretty much always save Rewind for the first Shadowy Duel of the game. As Disc Priest, it's something like Power Word Barrier. As Restoration Druid, it's something like Tranquility. And then, as Shaman, I don't even know. I guess Ascendance maybe or something like that. But some healers don't have tools to deal with it. Others do. So at this point in the game, the enemy team is doing a very good job of getting pressure on us. And I need to find a way of getting momentum back for our team. So I need to get my whole team topped with that triple Spirit Bloom here. Throughout the triple Spirit Bloom, and I have Nullifying Shrouds available. For those who don't know, Nullifying Shrouds makes you immune to the next 3 crowd controls that hit you. So while you have that up for the next 30 seconds, you're going to be able to do damage and heal as much as you need to without getting crowd controlled. So I look for an opportunity here to hover behind the pillar, cast that Nullifying Shroud, and then I come back out, and I want to land that Fire Breath. I want to top my team off, get everybody healthy. We land the Fire Breath out onto the Warlock, cast some damage into him. We're pumping. That was the Warlock's wall, Dark Pact. This is Rapture. Yet we still have a decent amount of pressure. So as you can see, I have 1 Shroud left here, and I'm just doing damage. Now he gets the last Shroud off, and right there we canceled our stasis. So another thing you can do with this ability Stasis, it's a big cooldown when it comes to momentum. Like right here, I'm crowd controlled, but I'm able to cancel my stasis. I have a cancel aura stasis, and that shoots out a Spirit Bloom with my Verdant Embrace up on my teammates, keeping them healthy while I'm in that stun. We get the Dream Breath out. Now we're crowd controlled, but our teammates do have some heal over time effects. But the Warlock is just in such a tough spot, man. That Priest was coming in to fear me right there, but he literally didn't have the global to do it because of how dead the enemy team is. So just being said with momentum, sometimes momentum is so far in your favor that they can't even do anything. The idea the best defense is a good offense, very much comes into play in a matchup like this. So at the end here, I hover in, use the tip the scales right here, land the Fire Breath, and that ends up being the killing blow on the Warlock. And we win this game just purely through raw pressure. Even at the end of the game, we still had Bubble. He had regen coming back. I didn't have that much left, so we were in trouble, but we ended up, capitalizing on momentum and winning by using our cooldowns offensively. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. That's about it for this episode. There's a ton that I wanted to get to that I haven't gotten to yet. There's a lot more videos that are going to be coming on these topics, but I just want to say thank you for watching. And if there's anything you think I can do better, do not hesitate to leave that down in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, please hit this video with a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, whatever you got going on, wherever you are in the world. Keep on killing it. You're awesome. Peace, peace.